Welcome everybody to the Synapse Philosophy Group. I am really excited because I'm going to talk about, just for a quick second, some of our stats for the year, okay? This is Spotify only, okay? Or the Spotify Synapse Philosophy Podcast was 1,300 minutes listened to, okay? Now, we had 10,000 minutes on YouTube last year. Now, this is just on Spotify alone, 1,300 minutes of chiropractic philosophy. I think that's really cool. Our podcast was in the top 20% most shared podcast globally in the entire world, in the top 20%. I think that is super cool.
That's weird.
Isn't that awesome? Let me see. Your podcast saw lots of gains. We have a more than 999% increase in hours listened. We have a 999% streaming hours increase. We went up by 272% of listeners, and we increased by 194% in followers. We're your top 10 podcasts. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I think that is really, really cool for chiropractic philosophy as a whole, and just goes to show we're reaching a lot of people, and chiropractors around the world are listening. So I feel blessed and honored. We're going to keep going. It's why we do it, so they can serve their people with a greater grounding in chiropractic philosophy, because without all three legs of the stool, you fall over and break your atlas. So I think those stats are really cool. I mean, top 20% of podcasts shared around the world. I think that's super cool. All right. Now, we're on D.D. Palmer's page 3 of D.D. Palmer's The Chiropractor, published in 1914, and there's a distinction in that. We're at the bottom three paragraphs. I said we're going to start the third paragraph, but I'm going to go back up one more paragraph. This book especially is not meant to be read quickly. We have to digest it, and I think discussing it is very important, because I'm going to start here at page, Kristen, do you have this book? 1914.
Yes, I have it.
Okay, good. This page 3, when it starts at when educated and innate intelligence are able to converse with each other. Now, that's a powerful, powerful thing. I think we should discuss this paragraph right here, and then we're going to keep on going. I'm going to read this one. Anybody have any comments or anything they want to say before we begin? I'll take that as a no.
Is 1910 or 1914?
Pardon?
Is 1910 or 1914?
1914.
Okay.
Okay. Page 3. When educated and innate intelligence are able to converse with each other, a possibility which not a very distant future may disclose, we shall be able to make correct diagnosis. What's he talking about with innate and educated communicating, and in a possibility which not very distant future may disclose? Where do you think he's going with that? What do you think he's trying to say? Or because I really feel, and I think BJ touched on it a few times really, but we're going to talk about DD, when we're clear, like in chiropractic, the meditation really of being a clear and hollow vessel. Educated and innate are able to converse with each other. Why would they be completely separate? And in a way, I think it's a very important distinction where we say, educated can't influence innate, and so on. Is he talking about that here?
Educated is learned.
Yep.
It is limited by our experience. Innate is a piece of universal and is therefore knowledge embodied as a whole. It's global. It's all knowledge.
Yes. Where is the self?
I'm having a hard time getting to that with what you're trying to ask me there.
Where am I? Where is the I am in this being? If we're in meditation,
the I am is physical and not and well, maybe the I am may be innate, whereas the limitations of ego and educated are from the body that as it exists. It's learned in in the experience that spiritual innate is having in this particular body at this particular time.
So in meditation, when we are getting out of our way and we're connecting to maybe the divine, it's still the self, which is still the material being and still part of the I am. If someone asked you in meditation, who are you? You'd still say Alan and Barry and Haig and Christian. Can we break that barrier?
Oh, but that's educated.
But can we break the barrier to innate and be
but maybe that's what he's saying here.
Barry,
when
go ahead.
Educated and innate, when they're able to converse with each other, a possibility which not a very distant future may disclose, we shall be able to make a correct diagnosis. Well, I don't know where he's going with that, but
I'll go into that one in a moment.
There's a disconnect between innate and educated.
Why?
That he's acknowledging here.
Well, why do we have to be disconnected? And what is our next step? Oh, JJ's joining us. All right. Barry, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I believe that D.D. Palmer knew that there was separation there between the educated and innate mind. Your question about what is self, I believe that's a context for me. Who am I? That's my identity. That's who I grew up with. That's who I was told. That's who I established. That's who my family already established. I'm looking at it that way. I'm not looking at it as in philosophical talk, who is self, that D.D. Palmer's asking. So I'm looking at those two different things out of context.
See, I see you. What you're saying, Barry, is an educated self, as opposed to what Deepak Chopra talks about as true self.
Well, we're only talking chiropractic here.
Or the innate intelligence. You didn't let me finish the sentence. Or innate intelligence. It's another name for the same thing in my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. And JJ, we are on page 3, the second paragraph at the bottom of D.D. Palmer's 1914, The Chiropractor. Okay. I'm asking this because the more work we're doing, really, what we're really doing is bridging those gaps. I really feel he's saying, we're going to bridge those gaps. There doesn't have to be a dichotomy. We don't have to be the dweller on two planets. People have been posting that right now. We can be a one unit. We don't have to be this dichotomy of being of the innate and the educated.
Yeah. I don't believe it's a dichotomy. I believe it's a paradox. We're disconnected from it, yet we're always connected to it. And it's like when we say self, when I say I am, when I wake up every morning and I say, I am healthy, I am vibrant, I am happy, my body will carry out those things. My body will follow my direct word in that sense. So maybe that is one of the secrets of connecting the two, is you're declaring, you're saying, I am, fill in the blank, whatever it is. I am happy, I am Haig, I am Barry, I am Alan, I am Christian. Fill in the blank, that's your identity.
Well, Christian, you're up next. I just want to, this is breaking this down and understand DD is very important. Go ahead, Christian.
Okay, let me have my thought. I don't know what you guys would think, but I think when he's telling us about innate, for me is like an instinct. So that's something that you are born with, and it has to be a little bit separated from educated, because you have to learn, you have to adapt to your environment. So think of you like a newborn. Even though you have innate and you can have the presence of a fear, you can't run. But once you get educated, and I don't think it's separate. I mean, innate is with us all the time, and it like pops up when it has to, and it's our educated to understand our body, what to do at that moment.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I like that point. It's very good. Now think about what he's talking about now. It's the next sentence after the parentheses. We shall be able to make a correct diagnosis. Okay. What he's talking about. First thing I think about is being empathic, understanding what a diagnosis and being able to see those things without the educated diagnosis, but where innate is saying, I'm able to see within you and believe it and know it's true, to separate myself from what my educated knows and to truly understand what is happening within you to make a correct diagnosis. Pasquale always said this to us: agnosis means I don't know, die is two. So it's ultimately two people have no idea what's going on. That's the word diagnosis to me. But, I think it's, we have to break down what he's talking about. Understanding this, it's not meant to be grazed over so quickly, okay? Heretofore, these two intelligences have misunderstood each other concerning the laws which govern life. When the science of biology is correctly understood, the span of life will be more than doubled. Whoa. Understanding biology? What is he talking about? We're going to double life. Enoch, they said, lived to, 400 years, but they never really said he died even. So, we're talking about spiritual existence and being able to see within the body. JJ, good to see your face, my man.
You too.
We were just in Kansas City. I got to hang out with JJ this weekend in Kansas. It was awesome.
I had a thought that came to mind when you said that is, just my discovery in anatomy lab, for example, was the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. I think even in Ephesians, it kind of describes it even like in a marriage relationship, or the relationship of like Christ and the church. It's a profound mystery is what they call it. So I don't know, that just comes to mind, that the whole is greater than just the sum of all the parts.
And that's excellent. And, I'm trying to get this conversation out of here. I'm trying to pull it out of us and help us think through this, because there's a lot of meat in that one paragraph, and there's a lot that we're going on to. And just to give you guys some insight, like JJ's new, that nobody's wrong here, and we're not going to condemn each other. You're not, you're able to express your thoughts and feelings to understand more clarity. Okay. So now that we said that, and we can move on. But, what was Dee saying in that paragraph? That's what we really want to truly understand, because this is the most misunderstood a chapter in chiropractic as a whole. So, in sparking our conversation about it, that's why I'm asking these questions, okay? Any other input on that? Because I think it's interesting. Is he, he's not talking about a subluxation, doesn't mention it. I'll move on if you like, because the next one, go ahead, Christian.
Remember when I think it was Didi Palmer, the one who said that chiropractic was guided by spirit?
Yes.
I was thinking, when these two intelligences get to conversate with each other, I think that's when you get the feeling that you are guided and you're going to make the correct adjustment for that person. So that's when your mind gets clear and you're accurate enough to say, here's the spot where the subluxation is, and here's where I'm going to make the adjustment. So that's my thought. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Wow, I like that a lot. I think that's very, very insightful, Christian. That is fantastic. I like that. Yeah, really. I mean, I think that just says it all right there. Anybody else want to comment on that? I think that was very clear. You gave me more insight. Thank you very much. Perfect. You know, they're teaching you well in Mexico. I really like that down there. The schools are awesome. I miss you actually getting down there. All right, I'm going to move to the next paragraph. Is everybody cool with that?
Yep.
All right. Chiropractic has pulled aside the curtain of ignorance, which has obscured the cause of disease. In time, it will lift the veil of superstition, which has obstructed our vision of the great beyond. I'm stopping there. I'll read it again if you'd like. Chiropractic has pulled aside the curtain of ignorance, which has obscured the cause of disease. In time, it will lift the veil of superstition, which has obstructed our vision of the great beyond. In time, spiritual existence will be as well known and comprehended as that of the physical world. Pause. I read that one often. I read it at Unive and Univet when I was there in Mexico, and it's insightful. There's some meat there. Anybody have any insights they'd like to express?
I think that actually it in part refers back again to educated and innate, because it's talking about the veil of superstition, which would be in some way educated, what's learned, and which has obstructed our vision of the great beyond, which is innate.
Okay, I like that. Excellent. Awesome. Thank you.
In time, spiritual existence, which relates again to innate, will be well known and comprehended as that of the physical world. In other words, we have to grow into the ability to be in touch with that spiritual connection. That if you talk about universal, and some people refer to it as God, then that's an innate as a part of, but apart from, then that's the growing into that connection of innate and the spiritual connection to, and somewhere I think in this book, if not others, it says the purpose of the adjustment is to connect the spirit without with the spirit within with the spirit without,
The
spirit
material
above
with
with
the
the spirit
spiritual.
below. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Anybody else? Stevenson's also talks about it, and where he goes into a little bit of more description of this type of thing, that the spirit needs the material to express itself. The material needs the spiritual to animate it and to function on this plane of existence, right? And, I go back to Herbert Ross Reaver adjusting it. I believe it was him at almost 100 years old, and said, each day I get a chance to teach people about their innate, which is about God inside them and how powerful you really are. And soon it will be known and comprehended that the physical world, spiritual existence, will be well known and comprehended as that of the physical world. Not that just this is easy to remember, this is real, but the spiritual is just as real. That's the way I see it.
I'm going to take one sidestep for Christian. He mentioned Herbert Ross Reaver. In case you don't know, Herbert Ross Reaver was the last chiropractor in the United States, at least, that was jailed for practicing chiropractic without a license. Because there was no license, and he was practicing medicine without a license is what it was. He was a chiropractor, but he was practicing, and he was in Louisiana.
What they did was stand up for themselves and said, I will not take a medical exam by a medical board for my chiropractic license. So they refused, and they jailed him for that. And they said practicing medicine without a license, but he was standing up as a warrior for what he truly believed in. 9 years total he spent in jail, multiple times, 13 times jailed, could have paid $1 to get out. And he said, I'm standing here out of principle. Man, that's a principled man right there. I couldn't imagine being away from my wife and children like that, or my patients, which I heard they came to his prison cell in jail and adjusted all the guards, right? If I was a guard there, I'd want that man to adjust me. All right. I love it. We're getting some fire turning up here. Any other insights there? Go
Yeah, I was
ahead,
going to
Barry.
say, I think this is classic DD, really, you know, like he's saying, lifting the veil off of humanity. He has discovered that in the past, man was always looking for parts, things, something's wrong, something's causing this body not to work. And him being the magnetic healer and the energy healer he was the prior decades, and then physically doing the adjustments and moving the bones, you know, as levers in removing the subluxation, this kink that he had found, he really connected the two, the physical and spiritual world. And I like the allegory themes that he's listing here with the veil and the educated and innate mind and the theatrics. But he's really proud of what he's accomplished, and really being humble to humanity, saying, I'm declaring this. This is what's happening. This is what's going on.
And you think about the times too. This is Mormonism really just began. The Seventh-day Adventists, where spiritualism, that part of the Midwest was a hotbed of spirituality. And I always think of this, we needed all that God, we needed all that spirituality for Didi to get his inspiration through there. And, you know, he's putting it down in words for the chiropractor to serve the people, or really just to a non, maybe not a spiritual person to say, wow, I'm getting a lot of insights from that. You know, this is 1914, but he was writing, these are pamphlets written well before then, actually, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, this is, you know, what I look at it as, like we've talked about, he's talking in quantum, right? Before quantum, decades before quantum physics. So he's creating new language for us to understand right here, right? We've talked about it for years, all through school. And, you know, we haven't dug deep enough in this. And I'm glad we had a chance to talk about it. Anybody else have any insights? That was great, Barry. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? We can move forward to the next one, okay? Chiropractic science includes biology, the science of life in this world, and the recognition of a spiritual existence in the next. I mean, does biology include that in school now? Do they talk about spirituality? No, you know, I mean, he's including, hey, your biology should include, you know, spirituality. And I think that's what they cut out of chiropractic school, especially. What do you guys think?
I don't think he'll get an argument here.
I know. Well, you know, the recognition of the spiritual existence in the next world, you know, in this world, and recognition of spiritual existence in the next. You know, he's talking about heaven. He's talking about, if it's, you know, your thing is reincarnation, whatever the next thing is for you, you know, that's what he's talking about. You're including the study of that, not the, you know, the faith in that. Okay. What he's talking about is the knowing of it, which is much different. Would you agree? You're going to study those things. I think that's very important and powerful. All right. Anybody else? The principles which compose it are substantive in their independence and incentive to human and spiritual progress. Did I say all those properly? Those are big words. Composite are substantive in their independence and incentive to human and spiritual progress. That we need to know those things for us to progress, evolve, transform, become more enlightened. What do you guys feel? They originate in divinity, the universal intelligence, and constitute the essential quantities of
Qualities.
life. Qualities, my mistake. Originate in divinity and universal intelligence, and constitute the essential qualities of life, which, having begun in this world, are never ending. That's the great beyond. I see it as he's talking about heavenly and spiritual existence. Essential qualities of life, they originate in divinity, the universal intelligence, and constitute the essential quantities of life, or excuse me, qualities, which have begun in this world and are never ending. Why is he saying this to us? Chiropractic philosophy. What do you think? Now, what I have found out, well, go ahead. Anybody have any input on this?
No, you were asking why is he doing this? I mean, we can relate to religion. We can relate to something bigger out there, especially in the early 1900s, like you were saying earlier. There was a huge movement at this time that was going on with all these different divisions, including, you know, religion was in our science, which it's mostly separated today. Yeah.
Well, the paragraph starts out saying chiropractic science includes biology. Then the next sentence is the principles of chiropractic is what that's referring back to. The principles that compose it are substantive in their independence and incentive. The principles originate in divinity, the universal intelligence.
But the
And they
incentives
constitute the essential qualities of life. The principles constitute the essential qualities of life, which, having begun in this world, are never ending. So it's what we learn about here is an understanding that actually we're constantly, because if we go back and understand that the principle here is that we're constantly developing, that life is constantly developing. One of our purposes in being here in the bodies we occupy is to grow and develop towards that divine level that we can, as we progress. And we can, and the principles allow us to move in that direction.
And you were saying this plane, I'm going to go back to the sentence before, compose in the substantive and independence and incentive to human and spiritual progress. Advancing in the spiritual realm, advancing towards heaven, to our heavenly existence, and advancing on this human existence. Now think about what we talked about before in breaking this curtain, or whatever he said, the veil of educated to innate, from human and spiritual existence. Human existence is educated, right? The spiritual progress and breaking through that barrier. Going back, he is explaining where he's going from that barrier of innate to educated and back and forth. That's the way I see that. I get excited about this chapter, you realize, and I'm so excited to get back to it. Go ahead, Christian.
I was just thinking, I don't know, but before our existence, I think we have to be like somewhere in space. I don't know where, but we have to be like somewhere. And then there's this other process where we come to existence, like right now we are here and united tonight. And then after our life, there has to be another process where we don't know yet where are we going to go or where are we going to be. I think that's what he's related to. And thinking about it, how many of you guys have ever like been to somewhere where you felt like you've been there before, and you stare at something and you get that feeling that you have visited that place where it's your first time? So maybe that's part of what he's telling us. So there's something beyond and there's something before. We just haven't discovered how it functions.
There's also if we're dealing on a spiritual level here, and we realize that we're all part of a bigger spirit, then we are all part of each other as well, which is an important concept to understand, also in chiropractic as far as adjusting goes. But there's, and the play on what you were just talking about, Christian, and how many people have had the experience where there's somebody that you've known for a longer time than just this lifetime. I know there's a particular person in my life that I know that we've been together before, potentially more than once. And it's an amazing thing to realize that about somebody, that there's a different kind of connection when you meet somebody like that.
Go ahead, Christian.
Maybe that's just pure innate acting there.
Well, yeah.
If innate is God in us, it's all the same. It's just a different expression. Just because you're born in Mexico, I'm born in the United States, it's the same spiritual universal expression as innate. It's just individually, I'm able to use that with the molecules that make up Haig in this moment.
We all have a purpose here in advancing the spirituality of the world. Not everybody ever realizes that, but I think we all have. I think everybody on this group is aware of that, and it's something that I think a lot of chiropractors come to understand, and I wish more would. But I think that's one of the reasons we're all here.
Well, we're making an impact at 10,300 minutes of just this audio podcast. I mean, JJ, we just got the numbers today. I got them 10,000 minutes listened just on Spotify. Okay. It's also in YouTube, Apple Podcast. We're number 20 in podcasts. I mean, how incredible. No one's paying us. I'd love for them to send me a check. I thought that I'd get some money by now doing that, but we do it for the love of chiropractic and the advancement of our spirituality. Now, does the adjustment, this is what we're talking about in this adjustment, what are we adjusting? Why is he mentioning this to chiropractors cracking bones? We're working with spirit. Here comes my man Steve. Here's coming too. Hey, Steve. All right. So we're on page 4, top of the page, the Chiropractor 1914. I'm going to read this next paragraph, okay? And then we're going to discuss that, and we'll start with the next paragraph next time. It is an educational, scientific, religious system. It associates its practice, belief, and knowledge with that of religion. It imparts instruction relating both to this world and the one to come. Supreme spiritual existence can only be obtained through earthly experience. Chiropractic sheds enlightenment upon physical life and spiritual existence, the latter only continuation of the former. I just read this at a Nate Adjusting in Kansas City, and we discussed it. Powerful. That's a good place to say, let's discuss that now, right? Wow. D.D. Palmer, 1914. I love it.
I tuned in at a perfect time because I remember hearing that before a couple of months ago and going, wow, what is that about?
He was putting it out. He was on a roll at this time. And I just talked to someone, I think it was Zale that helped me understand. He said, Dee last wife is the one that put this together. When he died, she was Mormon. She was very spiritual. He said she put this in the beginning. She made the order. But in reality, this sets the tone for the rest of the book, actually. I don't really see it in that way. I think this is definitely the way it should begin.
What do you think about spiritual evolvement depending upon the physical incarnation?
Well, what do you think?
Well, I want to ask you guys.
Well, this is the thing. Let's keep it chiropractic before we go into Hinduism or something else like that. Keeping it what we are learning chiropractically. You see what I mean? Educational, scientific. Now, he says religious system. Why? I'm asking a lot more questions than Dee now. Okay, go ahead, Barry.
Because he's asking us to believe in a power that we can't see.
Yes. You know, and having faith in it, but even more faith, he wants to give us knowing.
The intelligence was created in the divinity. Where is the intelligence? We can see the effects of it. Where is it? That's why it's systematized like religion in that case.
There we go. And even honoring the inborn intelligence, the life within you. I mean, is that what religion is saying, you know, there is a higher power, and that power is within me, animating my system, above, down, inside out.
I think it puts the emphasis on the known, which is we get born into this world and then we leave, but this is where it's happening. And this is where the focus is, that we can know. We can know this life, and this life has openings, portals to feelings that are not physical, that you can experience, but it's all done between the time of birth and death. And so this is the precious life, the emphasis.
But you're saying supreme spiritual existence can only be obtained through earthly experience. That's kind of what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. His emphasis on life here.
The here and now.
Yeah.
Being right here, consciously present.
Yes. And that's very Jewish, by the way. It's the emphasis not on an afterlife or some sort of heaven, but on how to live fully present here.
Yeah. That's why I said the here and now, actually. You know, I'm not Jewish, but I've read the Torah and I studied, you know, a lot with lots of Jewish friends. A lot of that, and it's powerful. Absolutely.
It's based on how to live here.
Yeah.
And this is something that DD is recognizing, like, and he's saying to us, okay, guys, here is this spiritual, this divine, this intelligence that we have all these religions for. And I have connected that there are switches to finding it and switch and open it quantitatively. And qualitatively, you could tap into that power through this thing called chiropractic. And his son BJ, years later, throughout his travels throughout the world and also his Masonic studies, realized, wait, all of these religions, all these people are admiring and going after the same thing. There is one supreme being, there is one supreme intelligence. And DD's really hitting this here as the father of chiropractic.
Now, what does the adjustment have to do with that? What does the adjustment have to do with all this?
Was
Just
the word
knowing?
Was the word adjustment in that last paragraph you read?
No, nowhere.
All right,
No.
I'm not answering that question then. I'm out on this one.
You got it. Hey, I'm looking for insights. Let's, asking some questions.
Well, I guess just like I was saying, is like DD found, like that individual doctor, you will find that intersection. You will find that subluxation between the spiritual realm and the physical realm.
Go ahead, Christian.
Well, I think he's making a lot of emphasis in life and our existence right now. So it is important because the adjustment comes in, and it can only be done by in how it's guided by spirit. It can only be done in a living person. So if a person is dead, there's not a way that you can adjust the person and you can get like a reaction from that. So I think in what he's telling us is how what I said before about think about our existence before, but and sometimes we get like some flashbacks. I think we probably had another life before, but right now he's only trying to fit everything in about what it's known, so and how it happens because there is life. But I think we haven't got like all the knowledge from it, so we can give like another idea. We are only explaining what maybe we can see, what we can feel, and what we know. So this is like our educated mind, and maybe there's something else, but we don't have the tools to get the knowledge from, or we are not prepared to learn a bit more of the spiritual world.
That's awesome. And I think that very last part, we're not prepared. I believe this is the preparation towards that. That is so insightful, Christian. Thank you for sharing that. Stephen, I saw you have your hand up.
Yes, as you were talking, Christian, also in Stevenson's, it does talk about that there is this innate intelligence, but it can't be anatomically located. But he's not saying that it can't be it can't be known. It just can't be anatomically located, physically located. So we're talking about this living thing that we are, this living spirit within us, this innate intelligence. We can experience it, but where do you experience it? And I mean, where is that orange in your head when I say orange? It's real. You're all thinking of it, but can you anatomically locate it? We can see maybe like brain waves are stimulated, but the orange isn't there. Where is the orange, guys? It's in the it can't be anatomically, none of this can be anatomically located. You can't be, who you are can't be anatomically located. And this is what I think this is about. This advanced, wow. The emphasis.
Absolutely. BJ touched on it too in volume 33, Fame and Fortune. I think it was one of the later chapters. That's where's memories? Where are these thoughts? Where are they located? You know, how do you touch it? It's not physical. Is it in the spiritual realm, in the Akashic record? You know, and I point up, but who knows? Is it up? Is it down? Is it all around and all encompassing?
Bruce Lipton talks about that there is the broadcast, and this is the television set. But what blew for him is that he realized that this that the information is now outside of the cell. And he speaks at
chiropractic. And Bruce Lipton, what he did when he read 1910, he went from being an atheist to knowing that there is a God, because DD helped him understand that. I just want to put that in there because we're staying 100% chiropractic. That's how he got it. The reason he stopped speaking at chiropractic events is because all the chiropractors are so nuts and fighting with each other. I'm paraphrasing, but
he read 1910, huh?
Oh yes.
Cool.
Oh yeah. That's why he was so big at speaking at chiropractic events. I saw him at New Beginnings.
So that relates to this. Doesn't that relate to that the spiritual involvement is made in this life?
The extreme spiritual existence can only be obtained through earthly experience, right? You know, that's why in this earth, it's important for us to be here. Yes, we go on to a wonderful place. You know, you got a reason to be here. There's a big reason to be here. Barry, you unmuted.
Yeah, I think that existence is here for a sentence, because when you are that supreme divine being, you are it. You are in existence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go back to the question of that Haig raised about adjustment and say, potentially what we're looking at is if there's an interference with the expression of innate through the physical because of the subluxation, the adjustment allows the restoration of that connection, which then allows the continuation of spiritual progression.
There you go. Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. guys, we got it. We're gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna go back to this next week, okay? And then we'll go on again. It's one step back, and we'll make a few steps forward. And JJ, you brought up something earlier today. You sent me a text this morning. I was up at 4 a.m. actually working on some of this, and you sent that text. For the Synapse Philosophy page on Facebook, maybe just leave a little blurb and a star. 5 would be better. But maybe a little bit about the page in your own words, about the work we do. And for innate adjusting, on the innate adjusting page, leaving a testimonial and 5 stars or what have you, what's right for you is up to you. But on those pages, so other people can read these things. You guys are on here, a lot, and I really appreciate. We've got hundreds of years, really, of chiropractic practice and service just on this call tonight. So it's a blessing. So you inspired that, JJ. Awesome. Well, I got a lot out of this. I mean, we got through a few lines here, basically.
4 paragraphs.
4 paragraphs. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And, that's what this is about. It's not about speed reading. It's about digesting, right? We're digesting this stuff. JJ, I'm so stoked you join us. I hope you join us again. And 7 o'clock your time, probably 8 o'clock Eastern time. And we have a lot of people listening from Europe and South America. France, I didn't realize there's a whole bunch of people listening from France. I got the breakdown today. And let me just say it. Where is it? Hold on. Okay. Well, I don't have it in front of me. But around the world, understanding, digesting chiropractic. And what I'm realizing too, it's probably not only chiropractors, it's people, because that's why I named this chiropractic philosophy for everyone. The more people know about the spiritual existence and reason for chiropractic, I think this is what truly changes the world. Enough said, huh?
Enough said.
You guys have anything else? I love you.
Just some live people, man.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good night.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, one more shameless plug. We just got our venue for Spartanburg for innate adjusting February 4th. It'll be at the Hilton Garden Inn. And so I'm stoked for that. Okay. Shameless plug time. All right, guys. God bless you.
Okay.
I love you.
See you next week.
See you next